We are actually about 3.5 years late talking about this, but we really wanted to talk about what the first year looks like having a baby with D-TGA. So
we are diapers on a plane.
I think for us, that first year was really, really the scariest. And honestly, there are days when I don't like absolutely forget, but there are days I actually don't even think about the fact that he spent a month in the hospital. He had open heart surgery, and there were months that we just didn't know what we were going to do.
Well, yeah, so retrospective after the 3 years, it's easy to look back and kind of forget how nerve-wracking it was. Because you're thinking about it all the time. And I think from those initial check months we had up until, was it the first couple months? And then the doctor was like, we'll see you in a year.
Well, so let's talk about all that. So if you want to check out a video about the diagnosis and what that looked like, and then you can see him as a little itty bitty baby, because we did a follow-up right after he was born and he came out of surgery. You can watch all those videos. But really what we want to focus on in this video is what it was like from really the day we brought him home until his first year birthday, and then talk about how we celebrated his first year birthday.
Well, what they had told us when we took him home is that they were going to do monthly EKGs and heart tests. They told us to expect to do one for the first 6 months of his life, and then after that it would be annual. And I can't remember if it was our first or second visit. I think it was our first. We did our first visit, and the cardiologist checked him out and said, okay, we'll see you in a year. And we were like, hold up, you told us this would be every month for 6 months. And he said, well, when he left the hospital, all the numbers were perfect, and a month later, they're spot on perfect. I guess the rationale is like he didn't foresee any chance that anything would be different in that first year, which kind of was awesome, but also nerve-wracking.
Yeah, because he was still healing, and yeah, you were just left with this baby that had major, massive surgery, and you're just told, you know, just live life like normal and we'll see you in a year. It really is a testament to how incredible the human body is, and that it's able to just be cut open and repair itself.
Well, and part of what was nerve-wracking too is we were in the hospital for about a month with him, and there were a lot of sick babies, and so really,
and sick kids.
We had such a blessing, but some of the friends we met there who also had heart babies, prognosis wasn't as good, and so we were worried. You know, it makes you worried.
Yeah. And we stayed friends with these people, and we talked to them all the time. And one thing that they always looked out for is, so one of the things that you're supposed to look out for when you have a heart baby is heart problems can mimic cold symptoms. They can also just have a cold. But if they have heart problems, they may display as cold symptoms. So it's like every sniffle, which, right, like little kids are always putting stuff in their mouth and they're oral learners. And so they're touching everything and they'll get sniffles and stuff. And so anytime he had a sneeze or a cold or a cough, which really I do not remember was very much until like right around his first birthday, it was really intense. It was like you really had to just be on it all the time.
Well, also every baby is learning new motor skills, so they're jittery and they shake, you know.
Yeah.
And that's just natural because they're learning how to use their muscles. But I'm like the whole time, is this something with his heart, or is this a developmental problem because of the surgery? And everything was just super stressful.
Right. And he was our sixth. So it was like, you'd think we'd been through the whole gamut, and we'd been through all these babies, and we watched them grow up, and we knew what milestones were, but it all felt like brand new with him. And we had to be so hyper aware of everything with him more than we ever had to. A lot of times when you have a heart baby or a D-TGA baby, you have to travel for surgery. And we did have to travel, but we didn't have to travel very far. But we met our cardiologist when we were still pregnant. And so we got in connection with him. He helped us find the hospital. He helped us kind of vet the hospitals, the doctors. He gave us questions that we should ask. We definitely did our own research and found out what we wanted to do and interview the surgeons and everything. But it was such a huge blessing to be able to have the same doctor who saw us through pregnancy and be able to talk to the hospital and know where he was going to be, and then just have him right there. So he saw us through the whole thing. I wish we still got to see him now.
No, if anyone watches the first video we put out, he was the same doctor that we cried with when we got our initial diagnosis, and he stayed after hours and just answered all our questions and talked to us. Like, Dr. Dyke, amazing human being.
Yeah. So once we brought him home from the hospital, and they discharged him, and he was great. Now, he was discharged on his actual due date. So he was born 3 weeks early, and he was discharged on his due date. And we were told that they were a little bit nervous about sending him home because his incision was getting a little bit red. And that can be normal. It can be a sign of infection. And I wanted him, of course, to be in the best hands possible, in the best place possible. But But I also had been in the hospital for almost a month, and we had, like, he was our baby, other children at home. And I had it in my head that I wanted him to go home on his due date. I don't know, like, looking back, I do specifically remember it was just psychologically draining being in that hospital day after day after day.
I think it's hard for the babies too,
because
they're being checked on every 30 minutes. They don't really get any rest. But yeah, he was a teeny bit red, and they sent us home with antibiotics though.
Yeah, and they said it was like a salve. Was it antibiotics or no? It was antibiotics.
Antibiotics, and then we took photographs every day and text the doctors so they could look at it.
And I think it was like the next day they were like, okay, you don't have to send him anymore. It's fine. He's looking fine.
Just run through the antibiotics and we're good.
So it was really not a big deal. He had the tape over his incision. We had to remove the tape, apply the ointment, change the dressing, and that was fine. The other thing he couldn't do was
can't lift him up by his arms, and I think
or under his armpits.
And I think we didn't want him laying on his chest.
Yeah, couldn't lay on his chest, couldn't lift him up by his armpits, or like lift his arms up.
That's right.
So you had to like lift him up by his like bum and head and like carry, like you could hold him close to you like a normal baby, but if you were like, you couldn't like lift him up out of his crib like you would typically.
So I think that was for at least 6 months. I'm trying to remember.
I'm pretty sure it was only 6 weeks.
Oh, okay.
But I think we were like, no, we're gonna do it for longer just to be safe. And whether or not that made a difference, I don't know. But I think we did it for 3 full months because we were like, let's just be extra safe. But like with all of his brothers and sisters that wanted to hold him, like they couldn't go get him. We were like, no, we're gonna lift him up and we're gonna hand him to you. And then you could cradle him and he could lay on your chest. He just couldn't lay on like a crib or a blanket or something for the first 3 months. But you could bathe him like normal. So one thing we weren't told until his 2-year appointment, which would have been nice to know, is apparently you were not supposed to let sun get on the scar, like the skin where the scar is, or it could turn purple and stay purple for the rest of his life. So when we moved to Texas, his pediatrician in Texas told us to probably keep that rule for about another year, and we were like, we were never told.
No, we didn't say anything because we are always in the sun.
Yeah.
And his scar is nearly invisible.
Yeah, you can barely tell. And as he gets bigger and it's going to shrink, like you can barely even tell it's now. Now, when he was a baby, I did take him to the pool outside. Like I think vitamin D is great for you. If I had known, I definitely would have protected it, but I didn't know. And there were a lot of people that were like, oh, he has a zipper. I have a zipper. I have a zipper. Oh, well, amazing.
We also put like those vitamin E on him like a lot. And then someone else was telling us to kind of rub in the same direction of the scar.
Like massage it.
And that helps like less, I think it helps the circulation and less scar tissue build up, which he has very minimal scar tissue.
Yeah. So fortunately it did not turn purple, but just in case nobody tells you that, our Texas doctor did say it was probably because we were in Missouri and the heat, UV index, et cetera, isn't as high, but good to know.
The local pediatrician visits during that time, I remember we took him in and the pediatrician didn't know what to do. And she was like, I don't know what to do. And then she'd read over the notes and I was like, oh, you just treat him like a normal baby.
Oh, that's right.
And so the pediatrician was so surprised that there were no extra medications, nothing extra to look for. And it was like, oh, wow. So the baby went through heart surgery and you treat him like a regular baby.
Yeah.
That's the thing that I'm so grateful for. And I'm grateful for the amazing heart surgeon we had, is that he promised us when we interviewed him, when we were interviewing doctors, is he promised us he would cure our baby, or at least as close to a cure as possible. Like he guaranteed that, and he did.
Yeah, it was amazing. Truly God's work at play, like absolutely amazing. So yeah, for the next year, everything was smooth sailing. Everything was great. And then we hit his first birthday, and right around his first birthday, he really started having pretty strong cold symptoms, and he also lost a little bit of weight. He got pretty sick. He wasn't feeling good, and he lost a little bit of weight. Babies at that age are supposed to be really gaining, and he like almost like didn't gain. He didn't really. I think he maybe lost like an ounce or something, but he just wasn't gaining because he was just sick, and he was nursing and everything, but he was really sick. So Gabriel was working out of state at the time, and we wanted to go together. I really wanted you to be there. I did not. I was terrified to go to this appointment alone. I mean, I really was terrified to go to this appointment alone, and I didn't want to do it, but we had to. So it was I think it was like a month before, because you were going to be back for his 1-year appointment, and I called up a friend, an amazing friend, Sonia, and asked her if she would go to this appointment with me because I could not go alone. And she was a boss. Like, she went in there and was like she's worried, just, she answered all the questions. Like, she just knew everything to answer because I was just a mess and I was so worried. So we went to the 1-year appointment at 11 months, and he did all of the tests. He did the EKG, the ECG, and we, leading up to it, were like, they might have to sedate him because if babies won't sit still, they might have to do that. And if they won't stop wriggling or if they won't stop crying, like, we'll have to sedate him so we can get good pictures of his heart. And they let me crawl up on the table with him and lay with him, and I just held his hand, and he just cooperated. He just was picture perfect, and he did everything he was supposed to, which was just lay there and be still. And then we went back into the room and waited, and I waited with Sonia, and I was just nervous and crying like I am now, and scared and worried. And everything had been fine up to that point, so that 1-year appointment was just so incredibly nerve-wracking. And Gabe is, of course, in another state, and he's like on the phone, like, waiting to hear. And Dr. Dyke came back, and he's like, he just has a cold. He is just fine. He just has a cold. And I'm like, well, what about him losing weight? And he's like, he's not really losing weight. He's just going through a growth spurt. He's got a cold. He'll make it up next week. And all that worry was for absolutely nothing.
But it was so stressful though.
It was so stressful.
Man, so that was like so crazy stressful, and me not being there was really hard. But it was such. I'll tell you, if I can tell something to parents with this condition, like, going to your appointments, and it's such a relief. I think getting any type of answer, good or bad, is a relief, because then you know what's going on. And it was just such a big load off to just get that news.
Yeah, it was great. And I obviously called you right away. Well, I'm pretty sure you were on the phone when he came in, so you could on speakerphone. Everything was fine. We took him home. Sure enough, yep, he got better. He gained a bunch of weight. And then we celebrated his first birthday. So we had all of our friends over, and the people that we love, people we consider family. We had a huge party. So I want to stop just for a quick minute and tell this story, because it is so important. So and it's so special to me. So we celebrated his first birthday. We celebrated that he is a sunshine of our life, which I know is not super clever, but he really was the sunshine to our family. Our 5th baby died and went to live in heaven, of course, and we didn't expect or plan on getting pregnant with our little baby Burrito, and didn't know he was going to be part of our family. And so he really was the sunshine. You know, sometimes you call babies after death a rainbow baby, but I feel like he is the happiest little boy. He is the kindest, sweetest, gentlest little boy, and he just really was our sunshine. So we had his birthday party in the basement, and he had this just mop of hair that I hated to cut. I've always not wanted to cut any of our kids' hair because it's all they've got. It's so cute, but he just had this beautiful, beautiful head of hair, and it was kind of spiky and stuff. And so we invited everybody over, and we had a big sunshine party and a sun-themed party, and he's running around the basement with his spiky hair, and I saw this reminder of a vision I had had 2 years earlier. So when we were in Missouri and we were trying to find a house to buy, we went and toured this house that we did end up buying, that we still own. And a friend showed it to us that's a builder, and he had built this house and knew that the owner wanted to sell it. And he and Gabe were sitting over on this side of the room, and I had turned around and I saw a little boy that wasn't there. It was like wasn't a ghost, what would you call it? Like a little vision of a little boy running around, and he was about 1 year old, and he had white spiky hair, and he was just running around. And I thought it was our son that had died. I thought that it was going to be, that it was just a confirmation that this is the house that we should buy. And it wasn't until his first birthday that I realized it was actually our little baby. It was actually our little boy that's here on earth with us now. And I was seeing a glimpse of the future, and it was a gift from God to tell me that he knows us, that he knows every hair on our head, that he knows our story, and that he's there with us every step of the way. And of course, terrible things happen. I think we've really, really wrestled with why God allows bad things to happen. And I think we're in a much better place, but he also gives us his little footprints along the way to show that he is in control, and he's guiding us, and that our lives may not look like what we thought they would look like, and they're filled with sorrow, but they're also filled with happiness and joy. And that is just my favorite little reminder, our little boy is this little reminder all the time that God is with us, and I tell him every night that he's a little miracle. And he is our sunshine, and we love him. So to anybody and everybody who has a baby with a heart condition, so Dextro Transposition of the Great Arteries, his pulmonary and his aorta were switched. So they didn't travel through the lungs to get oxygen in the blood and to deliver it throughout the body. There is an absolute beautiful future for you and your baby, and every situation is different and every outcome can be a little bit different, but there is hope, and God is with you.
Thank you for watching. We have some catching up to do. We want to do an update every year, and so we're a couple behind, and we're going to catch up with those, but we appreciate everyone watching with us.